Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
In the Bible, Acts 5, verse 29 says, "We must obey God rather than any human authority." And you know what? It's about time we did. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. And I want a patriot to call in. Come on, patriots. We didn't have that many last week. Let's get the pledge on. Good morning. And a good morning to you and yours. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell, and of course with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you with a very safe, clean environment and the best in tires. And don't forget, too, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance by a Patriot. Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Doug, I know that I'm going to have some things on here in a little bit I want you to respond to, but it was a treat to have you call. Thank you, sir. God bless.
God bless.
Thank you. Time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. They've got the best tools and equipment for both long and short-term rental. All you got to do is stop in, tell them what you need, and if you have questions beforehand, give them a call, 678-3122. They have the best of all the equipment to finish any kind of a task. K&R Rental. Right now, here's Gino with the weather.
Looks like we're going to be in an air quality advisory at least for the majority of the week due to all of the area and regional wildfires burning. Here's a look at your weather forecast today. We are expecting sunny skies, but it's definitely going to be smoky. If you have upper respiratory issues, please limit your time outside. We are expecting a high of 89 and a little bit of a breeze. Winds could gust as high as 23 miles an hour. Tonight, widespread haze, clear skies, low of 50. Tomorrow, that smoke's going to stick around. Sunny skies, high of 88. With an overnight low of 50. Pretty much the same for Wednesday. Still going to be smoky, sunny skies, high of 88 by Thursday. Sunny and 88. Now let's look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you very much, Gina. And right now outside my studio, 54 degrees and air quality not good. So heed her words. If you don't have to be outside sucking in all this bad, smoky air, don't do it, please. Very hard on your health. Weather brought to you by K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Right smack dab. You can't miss them on the Burley-Paul Highway. With the best of tools and equipment for you, anything and everything you need, you give them a call, 678-3122, K&R Rental. Good people. Caller, I'll be right there. I want to remind everybody, too, about our friends at Daryl's Cleaners. And Kevin, I had a chance to visit with him real quick the other day as we zipped up and picked up our clothes and had a chance to say howdy. And he's looking and feeling good. And they are the nicest people and the most knowledgeable about how to take care of your clothes and send them back to you looking brand spanking new. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Dry cleaning, it really extends the life of your clothing. You paid a lot for your clothes, so take care of them. Go into Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Caller, good morning to you. Thank you for your call.
And the top of the morning to you and to Leanne.
Thank you, Keith.
Yes, and I want to make a special announcement that today is Jack Euler's birthday.
Is it really?
We're good fans of Lunch Punch.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Well, with Deanne not being on top of every issue with anniversaries and birthdays because her being sick, I wish a very happy birthday to my dear friend Jack Euler, who, according to Jack, probably would say he's turning 39 today.
Well, Wolfman Jack has done a lot for the wolf, getting rid of the wolves, and I'm really proud of him, and he's a good friend.
Absolutely. You know, I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
What I really wanted to talk about is I always watch Meet the Press on Sunday because these people are so divisive. It's just unbelievable. Yesterday, Chuck Todd had Peter Strzok on there.
Mm-hmm.
One of the people who are involved in this corruption deal against Trump.
Yeah.
And all he did was just knock Trump, knock. When is NBC going to start reporting the news instead of the trash?
Well, they're not. It's their vendetta, and it's their venue, if you will, to be a leftist organization that wants to absolutely trash conservatism, trash Donald Trump, and trash this election so that it goes to the nitwits of Biden and Harris. And as far as the show is concerned, Meet the Depressed, that show absolutely went out the window a long time ago as far as being fair and biased. It is not. It is biased.
Well, as far as being credible, this Peter Strzok is not even close.
Why did they give a theater to these people that are basically low-life pond scum and have done illicit activities, not only in their personal life, but also with the FBI? Why are they giving a political theater for them and to them on television? It makes no sense to me.
Well, I can't figure out why this one is investigating this, and he can't seem to come to a conclusion.
Durham?
He needs to indict these people.
There are a lot of people, and I mean this, from the people that I've talked to back in Washington, D.C. and New York. There are a lot of people that absolutely, I will fall right in lockstep with what you said, that need indictments, and they need to be seeing the world through the bar system. And I'm not talking the legal system. I'm talking about bars in jail. And I'm fed up with what's going on in this country because we're seeing nothing but a submissive right giving way to a sleazy, pathetic left.
Yeah. One more note. You know, Chuck Todd gets on there and blasts the president and everything else, but not one word about him being nominated for that.
Yeah. Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keith.
Not one word about it. None of the other networks are either.
Well, that's not.
Has done more for America than anybody else in a long time.
Well, wait a minute, Keith. I got to caution you, my dear friend. I think the world of you. But don't say none of the other networks are either, because that's not true. We want to stay with facts. And there are networks that have mentioned it, namely Fox and a couple of other ones in passing. So we got to be real careful we stay with the facts.
Well, once again, you're right.
Okay.
You're the rightest guy I know.
In many respects, that makes the lefties really cringe. Thank you, Keith. God bless you and Nancy. Thank you.
I appreciate the correction.
All right, my friend. God bless you. Thank you. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Get there early at 7:30 in the morning till 5 Monday through Friday, and literally all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. We're on the tail end of the old kitty cat as far as heat is concerned. I'm sure it's about time to start thinking, these temps aren't going to last long, and pretty soon, zam, they're going to hit the basement. So make sure all your heating is ready to go. You've got all the air filters for your furnace systems and everything. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Over almost 7 decades of serving you. 678-0459. Really good people. And quickly, let me also add to the fray some other good people that are really, really good people. And I've got to talk about Denny's Restaurant. You know, we've had things kind of go into a tailspin the last couple of months as far as our lunch bunch is concerned, and I apologize for that. I love my lunch bunchers. But we're going to try to get everything back in the order again for this month of September. And it all depends upon Deanne's health, and if she's ready and able to go to lunch bunch, then we'll have it. But we have it at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner at 611 North Overland in Burley, and they've got another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. And whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, anytime, all the time, stop in. Good folks, great food. America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. Calls are welcome and appreciated. Boy, are they appreciated this morning. Give me a jingle at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I watched the video. As a matter of fact, I've seen the video at least 8 times of a cold-blooded, worthless vermin in Los Angeles walking up to a police car parked on the street with 2 Los Angeles police officers inside the car, and this worthless vermin opens up fire on the 2 police officers and shot them inside the car. A cold-blooded attack caught on video. As of this morning, the police officers are hopefully and prayerfully expected to live. But I mean the next part of what I'm going to say to the nth degree. I hope that this miserable, pathetic dog that shot those 2 police officers gets the same. And what was so horrendous about this story, and shows how much we are lacking in humanity today and respect for life, outside the hospital where these 2 police officers were being operated on to save their lives, these worthless vermin protesters stood outside the hospital and shouted, "Let them die." Ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you that it's not just my job. It's not anybody else's job on the radio or television. It's all of us. We've got to start cleaning up a very vile and disgusting cesspool that is happening in this country. We have got to take it upon ourselves. Law enforcement is being denigrated. Law enforcement is being cut back. Law enforcement is being absolutely attacked. And we're not standing up enough for our police officers. I don't want anybody to say, well, what can I do? What can I do? I'm just one person. No, we're many people. And we can come out vocally and support our police and do all we can to help support them. But, I think it's to the point now, and this is where I want you to interject. I think it's to the point now where we have to help our police officers also, not just by thought and prayer, but also physically. These kind of worthless human beings that are shooting and killing our cops absolutely do not deserve to see the next sunrise. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It is past time to take off the gloves, folks. No more, no more. We've got to let everybody in our country know that the left is insane and they're like crazy running dogs with rabies. This has got to stop. Caller, I'll be right there. Please stand by. I want to thank everybody over at Dino's Septic Service. They are such nice people and so easy to work with, and they cover such a wide area to serve you with all the septic tank pumping and the septic tank and drain fields installed, sewer and sink drain lines cleaned, water and sewer lines installed, all of this and so much more with the latest of equipment and very nice people serving you. Call them at 436-6526. or 678-1638. Fast, fair, friendly service, the best. Dino's Septic Service. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell. You know, we need to get to the source of the problem. I watched the video of that lowlife shooting the police. Don't know whether he was a lone wolf or whether he was part of this Antifa and BLM. We need to get to the source and take care of the source. Get rid of the source.
Yeah, but Donna, my dear friend, hold on a second, Donna. I don't mean to interrupt you, but there's a point that needs to be made there. You say we've got to get to the source, but wait a minute. We need to pick the apples up from under the tree before we shake any more out of the top.
Well, that's kind of true too. But if you start at the top and work down, I believe it's a little bit easier.
Well, yeah, but wait a minute. This guy could fall by the wayside. I mean, we need to get this guy. I mean, all points need to be observed and get this kid, this punk, this vermin. I've got a lot of other names, but I can't on the radio. And we got to get him and make an example of him. And if he dies in a shootout with the police, good. Because we've got to take this kind of trash off the streets.
Oh, no. I totally agree. I totally agree. I'm just saying, once we cut the money part off, do you really think that these people are going to continue to destroy and maim people?
I don't know, but I'm telling you what. When I watched that video of the hospital and the protesters outside the hospital chanting, "Let them die," I was so sickened and enraged, and I'm sure you were too, and George. Everybody with any kind of common sense and decency should be absolutely outraged over this.
Oh, I wanted to reach through the TV and snatch him by the neck. I don't know how we're going to fix this, Zeb. Hopefully, when Trump gets reelected, it will all go away because he's going to take care of it one way or the other. But we do need as people, we need to stand up and say, okay, we're not going to allow our police officers, our first responders, our firemen, EMTs, we're not going to allow them to be victims anymore.
I don't believe we're living in this kind of a society, Donna. I don't. You know, here's something that I think you'll absolutely agree with me on. That here in this area, and it's fortunate in one regard and unfortunate in the other, we are naive as to what's going on in L.A., naive as to what's going on in Chicago, naive as to what might even be happening and is happening at times in Salt Lake City. We're in a very conservative area, and I think sometimes we go, oh, gee, that's too bad, and then we walk away and make a ham and cheese sandwich. It's coming, Donna. It's coming.
Oh, no, I agree. We're going to get, they're already promising to get, the country folk and the little small towns. And I myself, I believe that they're in for a rude awakening, but we do need to stop it. It's traveling all through the country. And you're right. We are complacent. We are safe in our thinking that it won't happen to us. But it will eventually if we don't stand up and say, not happening here.
Let me give you another story, another for instance, and I appreciate your candid thoughts on this. Okay, here's another police shooting. Oh, the police are bad, and they damn the police, and they go after them. Here, let's take a look at what really happened here in Pennsylvania. The police were called to an apartment housing where there was a domestic violence going on, and this black guy is in beating up everybody in the family, and he's got a knife. He comes out of the apartment and goes after the police with a knife. Now, let's stop the frame right there, my dear friend Donna. And the police shot the perpetrator and killed him. He was coming at a cop with a knife. Oh, but you can't touch these people because now they're staging riots in Pennsylvania because this guy was supposedly a saint. This is lunacy.
Oh, I totally agree. They were definitely within their rights. If I'm not mistaken, on the body cam, I believe they told him, I don't know how many times to drop the knife.
Drop the knife.
And he didn't. Okay, so here's another scenario. If you or I were in that same situation, would you let him come towards you with a knife?
Our police have only got micro-split seconds to make a decision as to whether they are going to be killed or severely injured. Where does it say that they have to put their lives on the line and stand there and be a sounding board or a receptive person to bullets and knives and everything else and can't fight back?
There is no rhyme, no reason for it. You know, they're out there doing a job that most people would run away from, and they're doing it with all respect to people.
That's right.
You know, you probably remember Beretta.
Oh, yeah.
If you can't do the time, don't do the crime.
Yes.
That's kind of the way I look at things. And, you know, I love our first responders. You know, we support our local police here and our firemen, and God forbid if anything happened to any one of them. They're just doing a job. They're keeping this community safe so we can all sleep at night.
Amen.
And then they have to put up with these lowlifes that want to snuff out their life. Well, they're raising families too, just like we are.
I just don't understand why our police, our sheriffs, our deputies, our firemen have to have someone watch their back all the time because there are vermin out there that want to snuff out their lives. I've had it. And if I sound really short-tempered this morning, I am. And I'll tell you why. My son is a fireman. I've said that many times on the air. I fear for my son. I fear for all the firemen's safety when they go on a call, that now they have to watch their back because of vermin that want to go after them. I fear for our police. And something has got to be done, Donna. It's got to be harsh, and there's going to be some bloody noses.
Well, I think you're totally right. I just think that if we get rid of the money pots, you know, because they're busing them in by the busload, Zeb. They're paying some, and I don't know about Antifa or BLM. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, BLM to me stands for Blue Lives Matter.
Well, let me just say this. I'm not arguing your point. As a matter of fact, I totally agree with you. But it goes a step further than that. We have got to not only cut off the money that's going to these people, but we've also got to improve our education system to where these kids are not taught in schools to hate America.
Oh, I know it. I'm right there with you. You know, we're going to speak a little bit more about that on your last segment. In fact, I'll be the one that's calling in.
Okay.
You're right. We do have to continue to teach our young people because they're being taught liberalism and socialism in school.
That's right. And this hate America. Yes.
Wrong.
I got another call, Donna. God bless you. Thank you so much.
You betcha.
God bless you. Caller, real quick, I've got to give away some cookies here in just a minute. Go ahead, you're on the air. Quickly.
Okay, let's go to the scenario. These two officers were shot. the perpetrator, was he black or white? How do they know?
The indications on the video were that it was a black man, and I'm saying allegedly, according to the videos, and until more information is released, we're going to go with the term allegedly.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say he is black, and they finally find out who he is. They have him cornered. He is armed, and one of the policemen shoot him dead. Okay, here we go again.
No, Keith, we can't worry about that. We cannot worry about that. Here we go again. I am fed up with this, and I think most of America is becoming to that point that we can't worry about here we go again. We've got a great big mess to clean up, a cesspool to clean up, and you've got to start someplace, and I'll still maintain, and the liberals in the audience are going, oh, he's preaching violence. Yes, I am. We've got to start bloodying some noses to clean up this country, and I think you'll agree.
Well, for one thing, I think all police officers should be exonerated from any lawsuits if they're doing their doggone job.
They are
probably never happened.
They are under so much scrutiny, and they are under so much observation and criticism for every move they make. I honestly can't see or understand why anybody would want to be a police officer today. Keith, I've got to run and give some cookies away. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you. We're going to give away some cookies right now, and I'm going to give you a softball question this morning for cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh, yes, great bakery. Oh, all the cakes, all the cookies, all the pies, all the muffins. Oh, and they've got a great restaurant, too. You better stop in. You'll never leave hungry. Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Here's the question for today. What did Dale Evans do for a living before she was married to the king of the Cowboys, Roy Rogers? What did she do, Dale Evans, before she married Roy Rogers? Give me a call quickly at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. What did Dale Evans do for a living before she married the king of the Cowboys, Roy Rogers? Give me a call. Come on, real fast. I know you're sitting there at the table kind of looking at each other. Well, was it this? Was it that? Just give me a call. And while I'm waiting for your call, I want to remind you about our friends at Berry Equipment and Rental. Sales, service, and parts. They've got all the equipment for all the lifting and the digging and the pushing and the carrying and the grading and the leveling. Yes, and they've got locations to serve you that are real handy, like at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and a Nampa location, and excellent lease programs. And if you're wanting to buy, they've got great financing programs too. Get a hold of them today for all the Doosan equipment and the Bobcats and the trenchers and the scissor lifts. Berry Equipment and Rental, Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Oh, come on. What did Dale Evans do for a living before she married Roy Rogers? And then Roy and her would ride across the silver screen. Roy on Trigger and Dale on Buttermilk. That was the name of her horse. What did she do for a living? Come on, quickly, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I thought that would be a slam dunk bang and somebody would call. Quickly, 436-2244. While I'm waiting for you to call, I'm on a roll here this morning for being disgusted with what's going on in our world. And when I use the word disgusted, I really thought about not mentioning this particular story this morning because it is so vile and it is just garbage. I didn't even know if I wanted to mention it. But then I thought I would be doing a disservice to parents all over that are listening to this program by not mentioning that Netflix has a French film that they're touting on Netflix called Cuties. And unfortunately, and underline that word unfortunately, I saw some of this film that was on television, and it made me sick. Of 11 and 12-year-old girls in the most provocative clothing and doing the most absolutely provocative dances, and Netflix is putting this on, and it's called Cuties. Where are the parents? Where is common sense? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hi, she's a dancer.
You know what? I'm going to give you that as an answer. She was a actress, dancer, and singer, and that's what she did before she married Roy. What's her name?
Bill Martin.
Bill Martin, you are the winner of the cookies. You call over to Sophie's. Turn your radio down, Bill. I can't hardly hear you. And you call over to Sophie's and tell them that you're going to be over to pick up your cookies. All right? He's gone. All right, Bill Martin is the winner. She was all three. She was a dancer, she was a singer, she was an actress, and very talented lady. Very talented. And then married the king of the Cowboys, Roy Rogers. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You brought up a couple subjects that are disturbing, but the Black Lives Matter movement, this is all about destroying the local police and getting a national police force. If you look at the history of these kind of revolutionary, destructive, burn, loot type situations, you see where it's happened in history. They want a federal police force to be able to control everything. And then, so having our sheriff and local police are so important. And the problem is if they capitulate and start taking federal money, which, you know, the enticement's always out there, take this federal money and you can get this equipment and that equipment. But the Supreme Court ruled, you know, Zeb, long time ago in the 40s, that it's not without due process that the federal government dictate what it and control that what it finances.
All right, let's move on to the point, Adrian, quickly, please. Move on to your point.
Well, the point is, they want a national police force, and they're going to push for that defund the police, and of course, then they'll say, well, we've got to quell what's going on and keep the people in line, and we can't do without some kind of law enforcement, so we'll turn it over to the feds, just like we turn everything else over to the feds, and we see how that's working out. It never works out. You keep the local control.
Let me ask you a question. Adrian. Hold on a second. Let me ask you a question, and don't go off the rails with a long answer because I don't have time. Would you be in favor of, if Trump is reelected, having him all of a sudden get on television and say, that's it, folks, no more violence, I'm declaring martial law and we're going to clean this mess up? Or would you just let this linger? What would you be in favor of? And give me a short answer.
I would be in favor of what you just said. You know, we reached the point where it's beyond the local police, so we need to clean this thing up, clean this mess up, and as soon as that's gone, you know, give the local people, they need to be involved in it, obviously. So, no, Trump, I think he has been very patient, and I think he's waited until after the election. He has come into Wisconsin, there, that one town, and even Minneapolis, and sent in the troops, and things came to a screeching halt. They moved on to someplace else.
Well, I'm just going to jump in here, and I'm just going to say to you and everybody else,
People moving from from one town to another.
I know. Let me just jump in. I got to wrap it up, and I got to go to the weather in a minute. But I'm just going to say this: I'm absolutely in favor of a hard crackdown on the left and the absolute wanton killing, burning, and destroying that's going on in this country. If President Trump would say we're going to be working with the local law enforcement officers through local police, local sheriff, and county leaders, and also cities and states, I say bring it on and clean out the garbage. We've got to stop this.
Ditto. I totally support what you're saying there, and this has got to come to an end. And what really disturbs me is our elected officials. There's no pushback at a national level. I mean, nobody stepping up to the plate and said, you know, enough is enough. I mean, our senators and congressmen, they're not saying anything. I guess maybe they're fearful for their lives.
I guess so. I don't know, but I can't stand gutless people, but we sure got a lot of them. Adrian, I appreciate your call. Thank you so much. God bless and have a wonderful day. Thank you. Thank you. You know, you talk about Biden, and I want somebody out there in the audience that has followed politics for a long time in your life. Have you ever seen or heard of a candidate that is running for the prestigious office, the most prestigious office of President of the United States, stay home and don't campaign? And still, we're supposed to believe that Biden is ahead in the polls. He stayed home all last week. Trump is going all over the country. Arizona, Nevada, you name it, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, you name the place, he's going there. He's showing the people that he wants to do the job for the people, and Biden stays in the basement, being prepared to answer questions only by reading them on a teleprompter. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir. Yeah, it's amazing how the media is propping up Joe Biden, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Absolutely.
They are propping him up. If they were a fair and balanced media, Joe Biden wouldn't even be where he's at, because they would be asking questions. And where he's reading them off a teleprompter, I seen a joke picture the other day, and it showed the presidential debate, showed President Trump standing at his podium, and then it had a TV monitor on Biden's podium. So Biden would be doing it remotely over a TV.
Yeah. Doug, honestly, we can sit here and we can say Joe Biden's not worthy of the job. He's a shell of a man. He has no concept. He's absolutely suffering from old age that has hurt his memory and his thought process. We can say all of that stuff. But when you have to cheat, and that's what it is, Doug. When you cheat to get answers and you have preordained questions and you read them off a teleprompter, gee whiz, Doug, that sounds a little bit salty to me.
Well, to me it says, okay, who's pulling the strings?
You better believe it.
Who is the one pulling the strings here? What's really going down? And that's the question Americans need to ask themselves. Who is supporting Biden? Who's going to be making the decisions when Biden, if he gets in office? Who's going to be making the decisions?
You know that answer to that question. You know the answer to that question as well as I do, Doug. And it's going to be...
And other people need to research it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, I don't want people to think the way I do. I just want them to think.
I'm chuckling because it's really that simple. I don't care if people agree with me. I don't care if they condemn me or damn me while I'm on the radio. All I'm trying to do is get them to think so they'll look into these issues and peruse for themselves what the answers are.
Exactly. The ultimate weapon is a self-educated mind.
You would be surprised at some of the emails I've had as of late that are in condemnation of me for continually, and I'm not going to stop, going after Black Lives Matter and Antifa and going after Joe Biden and going after the left with their idiocy and going after AOC as being a retired bartender that should have stayed in the drink business. I mean, you wouldn't believe some of the stuff I get.
Oh, I'll bet. I can just imagine. And on your little deal on that movie, The Cuties...
Oh, brother.
Isn't there a federal law about child pornography?
Child abuse. Honestly, did you see some of that trash that Netflix is putting out?
I've seen a little bit of it on, what's that gal that's on Fox Nation that does the reports on the crimes and stuff. I can't think of it.
Well, it doesn't make any difference, but did you see some of it?
No, I didn't see any, just maybe a little bit of them dancing, and I thought, you know, I've seen in gentlemen clubs where gals dance like that.
Yeah. Let me just tell you that there are certain parts of it that are much, much worse than what they were allowed to show on television, and I find it despicable, and quite frankly, I'd like to see every action taken about Netflix. I'd like to see every action taken against the parents of those children. I got to run, Doug. Give us your 10-second spiel quickly.
All righty, everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. Let's support them. If you've got a garden that's overflowing and you can't use all the produce, call them and see if they can use it. And if you can't pick it, ask them if they can find some volunteers. I'll bet there's some Cub Scout groups, Boy Scout groups, Girl Scout groups that definitely come and help pick all that stuff.
There you go. That was 22 seconds, but that's okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it. Caller number 2, I'm going to ask you a big favor. Please, please, can you stay on the phone? I've got to get the weather in, and then I'll take your call. Be nice. Be patient, please. Our weather brought to you this hour by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And believe me, they know that hearing affects every aspect of our lives. And so you want to make sure that if you've noticed a diminishment in your hearing, go to the professionals that can help you. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right behind the Minidoka County Hospital, across from the emergency ward, and, of course, the number 312-0957. Make an appointment today for better hearing. Mount Harrison Audiology. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Looks like we're going to be in an air quality advisory at least for the majority of the week due to all of the area and regional wildfires burning. Here's a look at your weather forecast today. We are expecting sunny skies, but it's definitely going to be smoky. If you have upper respiratory issues, please limit your time outside. We are expecting a high of 89 and a little bit of a breeze. Winds could gust as high as 23 miles an hour. Tonight, widespread haze, clear skies, low of 50. Tomorrow, that smoke going to stick around. Sunny skies, high of 88 with an overnight low of 50. Pretty much the same for Wednesday. Still going to be smoky, sunny skies, high of 88 by Thursday. Sunny and 88. That's look at your weather for 7-3.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Gina. And the weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And don't let hearing loss take over your life. They can help you at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Yes, call the number, make an appointment. They help me. They will help you. 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Caller, you have been extremely patient. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Zeb. If the sick man, Joe Biden, should get in, who is behind him when he starts calling in sick?
Well, you're going to be looking at a Kamala Harris-type presidency with the left wing basically standing behind her chair or sitting behind her chair, giving all the utterances of what they want done and how they want it done. She is a far, far left, one of the farthest left ever in the history of our Congress, and I'm scared of her. I'm scared of her being a puppet that absolutely is going to implement a lot of tragedy on us, the taxpayers.
Well, when she gets in, if she gets in, you're going to find that Michelle Obama is going to be right behind her, and at some point, Michelle Obama might find her way back into the White House as president.
I can't dispute anything you're saying because it's all conjecture and your opinion and my opinion. But I will say this to you, my dear friend. I have never, ever counted the Obamas and their vileness and their disgustingness out.
Well, we just got our notice in the mail. We have several options about voting. Mary and I will be down there at 8 o'clock on November the 3rd to vote. No paper stuff going through the mail for voting.
There you go. I'm so proud of hearing people like you say that because I'm going to the polls. I'm not gonna have my arm twisted by the Democrats. I'm not going to take the easy way out. I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna show my ID, and I don't care about anything else except the pride in voting the right way, and that's by going to the polls.
Well, let's keep America American.
Thanks, Tony. And
Good work, Zeb.
all right, my friend, and I pray that you and Mary are well. Thank you so much. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning. Aren't you and Deanne and everybody else limited to how much you can donate to a campaign?
Okay, make your point. Why?
Well, because we got this multi-billionaire, the former mayor of New York, who's going to contribute $100 million to Biden's campaign.
There are so many ways, so many loopholes, so many closed doors that can easily be swung open, and I mean, money talks and you know what walks. This whole election, I think, is based upon the sleaze and the behind-the-curtains puppet strings and, of course, the money. I am absolutely shocked, Keith, as to the people that are standing up in favor of a Biden-Harris presidency and vice presidency. I thought they had more common sense, and I thought they had more knowledge about what America should be, and they don't.
Well, you know, this contest in South Carolina, one of our prominent senators, they're going to put millions and millions and millions of dollars into that campaign just to keep him from getting reelected because he's on the right track.
Yeah. This election, I don't know, I can remember programs that we did a year ago at this time, and you were calling in like you are now. And a lot of people remember this, Keith Cottom. A lot of people at that time said, oh, well, the election's going to be a slam dunk with the economy and everything. Trump is going to be reelected. It's going to be a landslide. Those same people right now, because of the vile, disgusting attitude and actions of the Democratic Party and the left, they are hinging and cringing right now that this election is going to be legal, and they're hinging and cringing that the left might win. You know that's true.
Yeah, and what if somebody come up to you that you didn't even know and handed you a $100 bill and said, you know you're going to vote for Biden, right?
First of all, I'm not going to be bribed by a $100. I'm not going to be.
Also,
I know, but I'm not going to be bribed by a $100 bill, and I hope most people would have the integrity. This is the word, integrity. I hope that America has the integrity to vote honestly. Vote honestly, go to the polls.
And that's just what we've got going right now. Many of the people who are on the right side of this thing will not admit to it. They think, we had a poll the other day that called us, but we did not answer it.
Yeah.
Because we knew what they wanted.
Yeah, I don't have time for polls.
It doesn't matter what you say. It's what they write down.
Yep. I don't have time for polls or pollsters. I look at them the same as I would robocalls. And I had a robocaller. I got to tell you this real quick. I had a robocaller lady call me last Friday morning. I'm in a big hurry. I had an appointment to get to. And she was all bent out of sorts because I said, ma'am, don't call me again. Do not waste my time. Well, this, that, and the other. And she got all huffy and puffy. They're wasting my time with these robocalls the same as pollsters are. I will not share my opinion with somebody I do not know in a phone conversation like you said that can be twisted. Keith, I got to run. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Have a wonderful day.
I will, buddy. I want to remind you about our 7 locations of our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. But I want to stress, first of all, we're right smack dab at the beginning of harvest, and boy, it's going to get busy. And if you have some problems and breakdowns with the trucks, the tractors, whatever the case might be, they're there. The Les Schwab Tire Centers have those great big trucks. Vroom! Those repair trucks are going to get out there and take care of you. That's right. Then, for the rest of us, if you need tires, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, the best in brake service, go on in. They're going to treat you like you are the only person in the world. They treat all their people that way with the best of service to you. Stop in and see James and Buell, Dan on Poline in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family in Paul, or Trent, my buddy, on Overland and Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We've got Rick Manning coming up at 9:06. Man, I can't wait to talk to him this morning. And then Dr. Gerard Lamero at 9:30. Caller, 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Go real fast.
Yes, question. Under the pandemic, does the president have the right to call off our presidential election? And I'm really concerned with this mail-in voter fraud. I think that's just a promotion for more fraud.
Boy, I totally agree with you. I think it's just opening the door for fraud and illicit activities. You know what? Call me tomorrow morning in the first hour when I've got time to talk more to you. That's an excellent point that you brought up. Let's talk about it tomorrow. I got to go to the news right now, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, God bless you, man. Thanks. We got to run. I'll be right back in about 7 minutes. Oh, welcome back. Hour number 2 on a Monday. Can you believe it's already mid-month, September the 14th? Holy smokes. Where did summer go? We're brought to you by our number 1 sponsor, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Very safe, clean environment, and the best in tires. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, my good friend Sean's going to tell us this good word about Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh, thank you very much. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. I urge you, like I have for a long time, to call them at 734-6969. Get on the route service. Once a week they'll come by, get your garbage. It's gone. It's out of there. No worries. Western Waste Services, 734-6969. Want to also remind everybody about our dear friends over at Hanson Mortuary with our good buddy Joel Heward, his staff and family. They are so community-oriented and so helpful, and they have flexible hours so that they're always there to help and aid you. All the family members that they provide the best of service with the best possible support and comfort. And remember this, at Hanson Mortuary, always the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please write the number down. They're there to help you. 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. And Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Before we go to my dear friend Rick Manning, I want to remind you quickly about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Oh, my goodness sakes, you better get on in there. If you've got aches and pains or you're recouping from an accident or surgery, they know all the exercises. They've got some of the best physical therapists anywhere, anytime, working right there to serve you at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Number to call, don't you dare put it off, 678-1191. The best with the hydrotherapy pool, everything. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 678-1191, helping you get back to being you. Right now, and boy, do I need to visit with this man this morning, because he is a very, very important person. Not there?
Yeah, I keep calling that number, and it just goes to voicemail. I mean, it rings, but it goes to voicemail. I called his office. They said he's not in the office today. I've been calling like the past 7-8 minutes, and he's just not answering. You're calling the 202 number, right? Correct. Could we possibly get you to dial, and I hate to do this over the air, but 703-383... That's his office number. Oh. And I already talked to him. He's not in the office today. Oh, and the 202 number is which? That's his cell phone number. Let's try that. 202-744. That's what I've been calling. Oh. I called them both. Okay. Do the name of Ruby Begonia sound familiar? I'll keep calling. Okay, Sean. Thanks an awful lot. While we have an opportunity, and we do have a big opportunity for you to call in right now and talk to me, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And we'll discuss anything you want to talk about this morning, so please give me a jingle, and we'll talk about it. You know, I do have some time that I was going to mention this in the first hour, and I ran out of time. Why are we, you and a lot of people that are your friends and neighbors, why are we supporting the idiocy and the dangerous Black Lives Matter? Well, you say, we're not doing that. Why, we're not helping them at all. Yes, we are. Take, for instance, if you and your family go to an NBA game, let's say a family of 4, you go to an NBA game, and I'm not really off on my figures. You can do the math and figure it out yourself. You go to an NBA game, and you spend, very possibly for good seats for 4 people, $1,000. And you'll probably buy a program and get some food for another at least $100. The drive, if it's any distance at all, to and from, probably will take $100, and you might stay overnight, so you're looking at the expenses of motel rooms, whatever, and to go to a game in the NBA, whether it's the Jazz or wherever you go, you're probably looking at pretty close for 4 people, at least minimum of $1,500 to $2,000. Now, let's be really explicit here. The athletes, and I'm going to single one out in particular that I do not like, and that's LeBron James, have played the race card and have been openly and verbally violent, if you will, in condemning whites and anybody that doesn't go along with their Black Lives Matter. But on the basketball court, you're looking at a game that's played by 90% or more of blacks. And with LeBron James leading the charge with his verbiage, they can't stand us whiteys,
Why are we spending the money to watch these multimillionaires play and then flaunt Marxist attitudes like Black Lives Matter in our faces? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
They hung up.
Oh, I wish they wouldn't have. Gee, it's been a good half hour so far. But somebody call me and talk to me about that. I would appreciate it. On the court during a basketball game in the NBA, you're looking at 10 players, possibly, very probably, 10 millionaires playing at a time. On the football field, and I mentioned this last week, you're looking at 22 players, 11 offense, 11 defense, and you're talking about very probably 22 millionaires on the football field. On the baseball diamond, same thing prevails. 9 players each side, you're talking about 18 millionaires. And I'm getting a little sick and tired of our support for these athletes that are taking a stand on the left, especially the NBA, with LeBron James and their ties to China, their ties to anything but America and the American flag. What are your thoughts on this? Give me a call. The money that we spend, and that doesn't even come into account for what these kids are. Oh, I got to have a LeBron James jersey. I've got to have a James Harden jersey. I've got to have this. And the shoes and everything else. We idolize these people. And they're making big bucks off of us. And then they stand on the sidelines before the national anthem, if they even have the national anthem on TV time for the games anymore, wearing the Black Lives Matter warm-ups and the Black Lives Matter logos on the basketball court. Please, audience, why are we supporting these people? Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call. Want to mention again our friends at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes, they are the best at what they do. And what they do is serving you great food. Oh, my. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner anytime, all the time. And great desserts, too. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget, food, people, and a great environment at Denny's Restaurant. It's true. It's America's Diner at 611 North Overland in Burley and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Denny's Restaurant. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, good morning again, Mr. Bell. You know what? I can honestly say I have never watched an NBA game, and maybe in my entire 68 years of life, I have watched maybe 2 football games. I think these guys are overrated, overpaid, and legends in their own minds.
Well, I'm just the opposite of you, because I grew up in sports, and I've been closely associated with sports all my life, but now there's a little bit of divide right there. You and I share the same circumstance. I was asked Saturday if I was going to watch any NFL games, and I said the only thing I'm going to watch on the NFL games, even though I was a devout Green Bay Packer fan, I'm only going to watch the opening to see what they do during the national anthem and how stupid they look. Then I turned it off, and that's true. When it comes to the NBA, I was an avid NBA, National Basketball Association fan. I loved to watch when Jordan played, etc. I have not, and I will not ever watch another NBA game because of their ties to Black Lives Matter. There, I'm with you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. But, you know, they could take a lesson from your National Rodeo Association participants. I'd much rather watch high school rodeo, pro rodeos. I've never, ever seen one of them take a knee. They're always got their hats off across their heart.
Let me tell you something, Donna, and you're not pandering to me as a good friend. You're just stating the obvious truth. The Cowboy Channel is really coming on, and they feature on any given weekend maybe 3 to 4 rodeos that are going on across the country with a split screen, and they'll go for live coverage, and then they'll go to another one. And most all of the coverage of those professional rodeos, and you can see it at Burley, Twin Falls, wherever, opens with the national anthem and the prayer. And I dare anybody to see any cowboy disrespecting not only our prayer to the good Lord above, but also disrespecting our flag. It does not happen. And like you said, the Cowboys could absolutely do a real personality adjustment on the basketball, football, and baseball players.
Yeah, I'd put my money on the Cowboys any day. And you know, this thing about putting a black national anthem in front of the games,
oh my,
that's ludicrous. This is America. We have one flag and one national anthem.
There is a sports writer and a sports columnist, and he writes for various newspapers across the country, and he's excellent. He's excellent. His name is Jason Whitlock. He's a very big man, and he knows all about football. He played football for Ball State University, and he has written many, many stories about how American sports are letting down America, and that's really the truth.
It definitely is. And, you know, I'm not bashing anybody's belief. You know, they can watch whatever they want to watch. This is, last time I heard, this is still a free America. But they need to stop and think about what they're paying tribute to when they donate to these people.
Let me, if I may, Donna, read to you a little bit of an editorial that Jason Whitlock had written previously, about maybe a month ago. And I'm just going to read you the last paragraph about American sports in general. Listen to this, and his words are really, really true. As fans, we can only hope and pray that these feckless leaders will reconsider their embrace of the Black Lives Matter cult. A necessary first step to returning American sports to what it has been in the past, a force for unity and a model of a diverse and colorblind meritocracy. And he couldn't have said it any better. Sports right now is off the rails, and I will not watch.
Yep, I totally agree. You know, my brothers all played football. My one brother played basketball. I never did get into it. And usually when they were watching the stuff on, I was too busy outside helping my dad do stuff. So, you know, I mean, I don't condemn anybody for watching what they want to watch, but they really need to consider, are they watching it for the sport, or are they watching it for the name of the players?
Well, isn't it really ridiculous and childish and totally uneducated for someone like LeBron James to stand up there and say, oh, the blacks are being discriminated against and they're pushed into a pigeonhole and they can't get out? Here's a guy that is making so many millions he doesn't have to work a day, any day, the rest of his life. And when you start looking at the contracts on a basketball court in particular, all 10 players on the court are all millionaires. How dare they denigrate their situation?
Oh, I know. You know, it's just like that Kale Pictate. He was raised by a white couple. They adopted him. And they raised him to be, supposedly a great citizen. To me, he's lower than whale poop.
Well, I tell you, you're talking your little phrase for Kaepernick, Kaepernick. I kind of like that. That's a good one. Anyway, thank you for your call, Donna.
I don't remember how to pronounce it, so that's the closest thing to it. To me, that's what he is. So.
It's close enough. It's close enough. Thank you. All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Later, my friend.
All right. Calls welcome 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There is a monthly publication that comes out from Hillsdale College. It's called Imprimis. And if you get a chance to get a copy of this latest issue for the July-August period, volume 49, and it features this outstanding 6-page editorial by Jason Whitlock about how American sports are letting down America. And it's excellent. Absolutely excellent. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Another story that was in the news. Oh, we'll take this call first. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, at the end of last hour, you had a caller call in, and you were going to be talking tomorrow about the mail-in voting, and I thought maybe we could get on that topic for the next few minutes. I wish I could stay and talk to you, but I've got to go finish feeding my elderly mother. I'm taking care of her. But I'll just listen off the air.
Well, my fears and concerns are coming to fruition as far as mail-in balloting, and literally we're taking a huge risk in trying to turn the voting in the mail-in balloting through the Democratic Party. They want that. There is so much fraud. There is so much possibility for illicit activity, and the changing and the forging of envelopes and everything. We've gone many times on this program, sir, and I apologize that you couldn't stay, but we've talked many times about the dangers of mail-in balloting, and I, for one, I will never be a part of it again. I helped during the Idaho primary with advertisements about mail-in balloting because of the coronavirus. I will never do it again. I will never do it again. I believe that if we as American citizens cannot take the time, like our parents and our grandparents and those before them did, to take the time and the effort to get into the automobile or the buckboard, whatever it is, and go to the polls and vote and show our IDs and be proud of who we are and what our vote means, we shouldn't even have the right to vote. I am adamant about going to the polls and voting, and this slish-slosh of mail-in balloting will be the ruination of the integrity of voting. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, I know of someone who lives in another state who, between her and her husband, received, and this was several months ago, 9 ballots to their address, but none of them were addressed to them.
Oh, my.
Their daughter, who just turned 18, received 4 mail-in ballots.
Well, you're just proving my point. I mean, the incompetency and the fraud and the dangers of having all these ballots laying around, and then all of a sudden they say, well, we can't get an exact count on Election Day because we got to wait for this precinct and we got to wait for all the mailing from here. Oh, we found about 20,000 votes in a Volkswagen parked out behind a bus. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Exactly. Well, being honest citizens that they are, they didn't fill them out and turn them in, but they could have.
Yeah. I just think that the mail-in system that the Democrats are pushing for is absolutely and will be the ruination of voting in this country. I'm not talking about absentee ballots. That's an entirely different horse of a different color in a different race. I'm talking about mail-in ballots in general. You're going to have complete havoc.
Exactly.
All right, thank you for your call. Thank you. Nice lady right there. All right, thank you very much. I got time for one more call. Give me a jingle. While I'm waiting, I'll say let's ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Oh, my goodness, they've got great hours to serve you Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 2. And don't forget, they've got a showroom full of fun. Holy moly. I don't know how they got them all in there. All the side-by-sides and the four-wheelers, all the accessories. You better get on over there. These are nice people to work with, so you can get out of Dodge City and get up in the hills and enjoy. Let's ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and it's really true. It's where the fun is sold. Caller, I've got 3 minutes. Go. You're on the air.
My question
question is, do you mail all 6 of them back in at once, or do you space them out over a week?
You know, we're talking about it a little facetiously, but Doug, you of all people that knows and understands how absolutely critical and dangerous mail-in balloting can be, I mean, this is something I don't want to see.
Exactly. And, you know, I'm for, you know, real strong background checks on people.
Yep.
But also, let's do it for citizenship and for voting. I mean, if you're going to do it for the Second Amendment, let's do it for the voting and for citizenship also.
You get on an airplane, you go buy a gun, and so many cases you got to apply for a loan, you got to show your ID. Do you mean to tell me that we have disgusting, vile, far-left nutcases that say, oh, well, you can't tell people to show their ID? That's insane.
Yeah. You know, and I purchased a different vehicle from a friend of mine a while back, and when I went to register it and get the title put in my name, I had to show an ID.
Do you remember when your mom and dad, and you were a kid, your mom and dad, and I know that this happened, I can just see the scenario at your family like it was in mine. On Election Day, that was such a prestigious day that they even let my dad and my mom off of work, and they would come home and they'd clean up and go to the polls and vote. I'll never forget that as long as I live. It meant something then.
It was almost like going to church on Sunday morning.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Thanks, Doug.
One other thing that I heard over the news, and if you can research this in the next day or two and find out more, but about all the 30 phones that was issued to the Mueller team have been wiped clean.
Oh, my. Yes. Strange, isn't it?
Who is going to be held accountable for that?
Why, Dougie, you...
Equal justice under the law unless you're a Democrat.
There you go. There you go. Thanks, Doug. I got another call, and I'm short on time. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. Caller, quickly. I've got 1 minute left.
Yeah, Seb, I just was able to turn my radio on and catch the last few minutes. When I had to take my daughter to kindergarten and to school, at the front of the front desk at the school secretary's office, I had to give him my ID.
Sure.
To take my own daughter to school. That's not picking her up. That's dropping her off.
Mm-hmm.
If it's that important, which it is. If it's that important to have an ID and show it, then what in the world are they thinking about voting? And it's that way with the daycare she goes to. If they don't recognize me by face, the people working where she goes to daycare require a photo ID, your driver's license, to make sure you are who you say you are. And they write that information down in case something happens.
That's right.
You know, it's an open, obvious way for them to try and steal an election and steal the nation by discrediting our election system. That's plain and simple. And it started, I don't know exactly when it started, but I noticed it starting when Obama's first term in office, when he first got elected in.
Well,
but, I'll let you go, my friend.
It's good to hear from you, Riley, and I appreciate your comments. And I'm just going to say this one more time. I'm not condemning the absentee ballots. I'm condemning the overall mail-in suggested ballots that the Democrats are pushing for. It will not work, honestly. We've got to do a commercial break. I got to run, Riley. I'm late. I got to run. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. We've got to run. We've got a guest waiting in the wings right now, and I quickly want to remind you about life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, and employee benefits with our friends and your friends, and that's Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Absolutely people that care. They care. They really want to work for you. Dedicated and responsive. All you need to do, pick up the ball and go to the telephone. Start everything rolling. 436-4424. Call them, 436-4424. The best serving you, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. I have a dear friend that's coming on the program right now that I absolutely look forward to having him on the program, and we always feature his latest book, Real World Socialism, and unfortunately all of that he's got in that book is trying to come true in America. Dr. Gerard Lamero, God bless you. How are you?
I'm doing terrific. How are you doing? And I hope you and your family are all doing good.
My wife is doing better, and I really appreciate your comments. Sean, the feedback coming down the line to my headset is really, really strong. I can hardly hear the doctor, if you would, please. Dr. Lamero, I wanted to talk to you a little bit this morning. Again, Sean, it's still strong in the headsets. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about where we are 50 days away from the most important election, I think, ever in the United States. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I think it is the most important election since 1789. And I say that with a reason. 1789, the number one issue is, should we adopt and ratify the Constitution that was just written? That was the first big issue, and at the end of that election, people voted for following the Constitution, following the Electoral College, and the Constitution was ratified. And during the time, not all the states had ratified yet. That was a big deal. And that was a big deal in 1789, and, you know, right now, today, we're facing the same thing. Do we stick with our Constitution, or do we turn towards socialism? The Democratic Party has elected to go off the deep end and to adopt socialist policies up and down the board, and they're basically pushing for socialism. They've said, we want revolution, we want a transformation of this country, we don't like the way it's been for 244 successful years. And boy, are they foolish.
Dr. Lamero, and again, Sean, feedback's way too strong, please. As you look at this overall picture of the voting taking place in 50 days for the presidency of the United States, and you listen to the left and their wants and their distaste for our Constitution and our value system, is it possible that they will win?
Well, I think they're going to lose. I think my forecast model says they're going to lose, and the polls are wrong once again. But there are possibilities, and in my latest article that I wrote, I mentioned some of the possibilities. One of the possibilities is that Trump will look like he won by a landslide on Election Day, and Joe Biden is going to not concede, but he'll hang on and wait for all the last-minute ballots to come in. Some states, they let them come in a week late. And he'll hope that enough ballots show up out of the air or out of somebody's hands and will somehow bring him across the finish line. That could happen, that he waits.
Okay, but that leads me right into asking you about mail-in balloting. I'm not saying absentee. That's a different horse of a different race, like I mentioned last half hour. I'm talking about all these ballots going out. Some people have received 3, 4, 5, 6 ballots, and the lack of integrity and honesty in the mail-in balloting system. It's got to stop.
Well, a lot of people are worried about it, including President Trump. He doesn't want to lose for that reason. And let's face it, in California, we know there are 3 million people on the rolls who are no longer on the rolls. They may have moved out of state. They may have died. They may become ineligible because they haven't voted in years. But yet they get sent a ballot. And in California, they send ballots out to people's dogs and their cats because some people have registered their dogs and cats. And the system doesn't know it's a dog or a cat. And who votes those votes? And some people think that this is a way to get a lot of illegal votes in there or to get votes that shouldn't count. And that's a problem, and that's why you need good voting judges, and people need to volunteer to be election judges and poll watchers to make sure these shenanigans don't take place.
Have you ever in your life witnessed a more backward type of campaigning than what Joe Biden is doing, sitting in his basement, and last week, only 50-some days away from the election, he doesn't go anywhere and he doesn't campaign anywhere, but yet the polls still show that he's leading. This is insane.
Well, the polls are wrong. In terms of his politicking, he's certainly doing the most ridiculous campaign I've ever seen. But I guess it's what you do when somebody is senile and fumbles all the time. And I saw a clip here of him doing a news conference, and he held up a picture of his son, Bo, and his son that died. And in the picture, you could see the reflection of a teleprompter.
Yep.
So when people asked him questions, he was being told the answer, what to say in his earpiece, or rather in the piece of the teleprompter. So he was being fed in the information how to answer a question. I think any president, should be able to stand on their feet and answer a question honestly.
Well, that leads me to ask you about then, what are we going to see or not see or hear or not hear on September 29th in the first debate?
Well, I hope we see an honest debate. I hope he's not wearing some type of earpiece where they're feeding him the answers, but they might be. I would think the Trump people are going to be watching out for that, because that would be the most dishonest thing I've ever seen.
When you look at politics today, with the liberal left and all the crime that's going on in major cities across our United States, and the burnings and the lootings and the shootings and the killings and the wanton shooting of our police officers, and after the two in L.A. were shot this weekend, people stood outside the hospital where they were operating on these police officers and they were shouting, "Let them die, let them die." America's in pretty bad shape right now, is it not?
Well, if it were 330 million people doing it, but you just got a handful of people that are being paid. They apparently are on the dole of somebody who wants to have this agitation going on, because some of those rioters in Washington, D.C. that went after Rand Paul, they went back to big, rich hotels to stay overnight after they did their rioting. So there are people who are funding this, and we need to get to the bottom of who's funding this and who's trying to start riots, because that should be a crime and they should go to jail, I think.
I want to ask you a little bit about, and again, Sean, please cut the feedback back a little bit. Ride that gain if you would, please. I want to ask you a little bit about sports in America today. I don't know if you're into sports or an avid fan like I was up until all this Black Lives Matter started, but an article that was written in Imprimis magazine by Jason Whitlock, it's an outstanding writing, an editorial, and it's entitled "American Sports Are Letting Down America." And I could not agree more. We've got millionaires on the basketball court and the football field and the baseball diamond that are complaining that they're not getting their fair share of what America has to offer. How dare they? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'd say if there are millions and millions of dollars isn't enough, how much do they have to have? Do they have to have billions and be like Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett? What are they looking for? Doesn't make any sense to anybody. Anybody who's working on a hard job and making $50,000 a year or whatever they're making, they don't have much sympathy for that. That's why the attendance is down so low. Nobody has any sympathy. Plus, they're unpatriotic to boot.
And, you know, the other thing that I noticed over the weekend, I was following this one story I wanted you to elaborate on a little bit, that they found out from some of the protesters / rioters that were arrested, they did some background checks on these punks, and they found out that most of them are coming from very well-off families. What are your thoughts?
I think that's correct. I think all the evidence indicates that these people are educated at universities that are supposed to be good, and they've been taught all about socialism and communism and Marxism, and they're into it. They believe in it. They listen to their professors, and yet they're coming from rich backgrounds, and they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know anything about unfairness, if anyone has been discriminated against, because they haven't. They've had, no wonder they talk about white privilege. They're all privileged. They got lots of money and lots of great things in their lives. And instead of being thankful for what they got and earn something and help other people, they're out there causing trouble. It's ridiculous.
Of all the things that you studied in the making and writing of your book, Real World Socialism, I want you to comment a little bit about the state of our so-called education system in America today, where we're not teaching pride in America, we're not teaching love of country in America, we're teaching all the bad aspects and trying to bring up all the negatives. How are we going to change this?
We've got to change the system. We absolutely have to. Alumni, you got to stop donating to those colleges and universities that they're teaching trash to the kids. Why should you fund it? And if you're living in a town or a city where your school board is allowing teachers to trash the country, you should get on the school board or at least vote out the people who are there and put in people who are American, who will change the curriculum to tell them what a great country we have. We have a wonderful country. There is no country in the history of the world that's been as good as this country. They need to be thankful for living in it and being brought up with freedom and the right to choose whatever you want to do with your life. If you want to be a doctor, a surgeon, if you want to be a cowboy, or if you want to be a pharmacist, you can be it in this country, and that's wonderful.
Dr. Lamero, you make a living being a political analyst and writing some exceptionally good books, but what are your kind of predictions, if you will, as to what we might see as a country if we have the left take over in the form of Biden and Harris? What are your main concerns?
Well, if Biden and Harris were to win, I do not think they will win under any circumstances. But if they somehow were able to slip in, I think I would guarantee we would be bankrupt in 2 years. Their programs are not sustainable. They're not fundable. They're utterly ridiculous. You can't tax the rich and take away everybody's money and all the money that would go into investing in new jobs and new wealth creation. You can't do that. Every country that has tried socialism has gone down a bitter defeat and economic failure and bankruptcy. We would be bankrupt just like Venezuela.
What about a subject that is near and dear to my heart, and that's making sure that our borders stay intact and we don't just have an open leeway for everybody to come in and we, the taxpayers, pay for their being here? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we know what the Democrats want. They want open borders, let everybody in, and then everybody who gets in gets free welfare, gets free medical care, gets free everything. And there's just no way to pay for that. We can't pay for the entire world to come through. We're going to have billions of people coming through, yet that's what they want, open borders. They want to destroy this country. They want transformation. They want to destroy the nature of our system. And that's one of the ways they're trying to do it. Let's face it, we've got to call a spade a spade.
Absolutely. Let's play the other side of that coin, and what happens, in your opinion, with the vile, filthy left and all their hatred towards America if Trump wins re-election?
Well, I think what's going to happen is there are going to be a lot of protests, and they're going to try to go back to their rioting and stuff. But this time, I think what will happen is that they're going to have to be shut down, and they will be by the cities and the states. And if they're not, I think President Trump will declare an insurrection, in which that gives him the right to use the military and to use all our resources to put down the insurrection. I think they might try to riot and cause more problems, but I think the Democrats are going to have to stop it, clean it up, and if they don't, President Trump will. And by the way, if they don't, they're going to lose their jobs very soon, because as soon as they're up for re-election, they're going to lose. Nobody wants to live in chaos and rioting.
Absolutely. You had made the comment on a previous program, and I want to see what your attitude is today. You had said that you felt at that time, I think it was back in March of this year, that we will see the demise of the Democratic Party in this year, 2020.
I think you will see the demise. I actually don't think they'll close the doors until early next spring in 2021. I think they'll be still counting the damages and trying to put it back together, but I think they've gone so far off the deep end, they've disconnected from the American voter, They've disconnected from good Democrats who for years voted for Democratic Party, but thought they were voting for America at the same time.
Absolutely.
And I think that they have just gone too far off the range, and they are off in Never Never Land, and that party will end because there's no guarantee that any party will be here forever. And the Whigs did real well in the 1800s, but they're no longer around. The Democrats have done well in different years. They're going to be gone, too.
We have a caller with a question or a comment. Caller, quickly. I've got about 3 minutes left. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Dr. Romero, I think, if Trump wins, that he'll just call out the National Guard or the military and put an end to all the insurrection because, he doesn't have to get reelected. But I think that in some cases we're going to see that maybe there's such a massive turnout for Trump that it's going to overwhelm any kind of mail-in ballots. And then we're also going to find out in some of these cases, Jay Inslee, cross-eyed Jay from Washington, he is up for election this October. And whether or not he gets ousted, I don't know, but it may be close. And so it will be interesting to see if maybe the Democrats go, well, this has not worked, it's not going to work, and we're going to, like you say, be a party of the past. Thank you.
Respond to the caller, please.
I agree with the caller. I think he's right, and I think that they will be a party of the past, and I think that when they see themselves losing their jobs, they're not going to like doing what they've been doing because they know people are really upset about it.
When you look at mayors, like let's pick one out of the basket in particular, Ted Wheeler up in Portland, how can a person like him even expect to remain in power after all the mess he's created in Portland?
Well, he shouldn't. There was a recent poll done. I don't believe most polls, but this one I tend to believe. They said, I think about 63% of the people in Portland were not happy with him. That wouldn't surprise me when you've got rioting every night for 100 nights. So I think he's going to lose his job, and I think a lot of other Democrats, New York City, Chicago, elsewhere, are going to lose their jobs too. And boy, do they deserve it.
Absolutely. We've got time for one more quick call. Caller, quickly, go please.
Dr. Romero, what happens if there's no clear-cut winner? Because I could see, no matter who wins, this thing going on, being protected, and recriminations on both sides, no matter who wins or loses. What do we do in that case? Thank you.
I'll tell you, I wrote an article about that. You can get it on my website, greatnewsforamerica.com. We don't have a lot of time, but I'll give you the quick answer. The quick answer is Trump is going to be elected president. If it were to be tied in the Electoral College or not enough states were certified to vote in Electoral College, it'll go to the House. The House votes by delegation. There are more Republican state delegations in the House now. There'll be even more in January after the election. So Trump would be elected automatically then.
Okay, sir. And that caller called in earlier this morning, and I didn't finish answering all of his question. I apologize for that. You did an excellent job, Dr. Romero. I am out of time, but I urge everybody to follow this man's writings. He is excellent. Dr. Gerard Romero with his latest book, Real World Socialism. Sir, you've got a home here anytime you want to come to visit. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, sir. Dr. Gerard Romero, and the book is excellent. I've read it twice now. Real World Socialism, and he is sharp. Holy cow, we've got to get the weather on. I'm late again. And the weather brought to you this hour by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area and beyond for well over 50 years. They are the professionals in accounting services to you, your family, and your business. The best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, retirement planning, bookkeeping services. The list goes on. And they've got offices for you in Burley and Rupert. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Looks like we're going to be in an air quality advisory at least for the majority of the week due to all of the area and regional wildfires burning. Here's a look at your weather forecast today. We are expecting sunny skies, but it's definitely going to be smoky. If you have upper respiratory issues, please limit your time outside. We are expecting a high of 89 and a little bit of a breeze. Winds could gust as high as 23 miles an hour. Tonight, widespread haze, clear skies, low of 50. Tomorrow, that smoke's going to stick around. Sunny skies, high of 88. With an overnight low of 50. Pretty much the same for Wednesday. Still going to be smoky, sunny skies, high of 88 by Thursday. Sunny and 88. Now let's look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
You know, I've got a window open here in my studio, and the smoke is so bad coming through the window right now. I'm thinking during the news I'm going to have to close it. Very dangerous out there with the smoke and the bad air, so be careful out there, folks. Weather forecast brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. As I said, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. They are the best at what they do, and they help you. 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 620 Fifth Street in Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. We've got time for a phone call or two. If you want to give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Like to hear from you, so give us a call. And we'll talk about any subject you want to. But I really appreciate Dr. Lamero. And if you haven't read his books, go to his website. And he's got a series of books that absolutely are spot on. He is really good at studying politics and coming out with a prediction, and he doesn't make many mistakes, let me tell you that. I know somebody else that doesn't make many mistakes, and that's Patterson's Electronics at 421 East Main in Burley. Hello, Curtis. Hello, Lorena. Hello, everybody. Oh, anything electronic? They know. They know they've got all the knowledge, and they've got the best for you. The best of home theater systems, the best of video surveillance cameras, the best of car stereos and speakers, the best of complete sound systems, the best of TVs. I mean, what are you waiting for? Be sure and stop in and see them today. They're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. They are closed on Sundays. You stop in or give them a call, 678-6997. Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. Really super nice people. Wow. Coming up next hour, what have we got cooking here for a little bit? By the way, I've still got time for another call. Give us a jingle. We've got Lowell Potty. And that gentleman, a former Reader's Digest roving reporter, and has had his articles featured all over the United States in various publications. He's going to be talking about that debate between Biden and Trump on the 29th. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, could you please repeat Dr. Lamero's website address for us?
Yeah, I just set it down behind me, so bear with me on live radio, and I'm trying to find it right here. Oh, my goodness sakes. I had it and I can't find it. I just had it and I was going to give it to everybody, and I set it down behind me in my... If you saw my office, I think you would understand as to why I'm a little hesitant in finding things. Let me take a look here at his card. Pardon me?
Is your wife still in the hospital?
No, she is home, but she's got a long road to recovery, and we're doing the best we can, and hopefully all will be well. But I do appreciate your asking. I can give you his email.
That's what I was thinking.
I can give you his email.
Right now.
Well, I appreciate that, but I was just going to say, I can give you his email and his website. His website is greatnewsforamerica.com. There you go.
Okay, greatnewsforamerica.com.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your call. Appreciate it. And thank you for your kind thoughts. Appreciate that a lot. We're going to take a little break right now and turn it over to the big boys at CBS News and let them come in and just totally destroy everything we've built up this morning. They do that. They have a penchant for that. And we're going to be back with Lowell Potty at 10:06, then 10:32, Dog Days, and I understand that we're going to hear from a dear friend at about 10:46 this morning. So you stay tuned. Zeb at the Ranch. I'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, welcome back. Hour number 3. Zeb at the Ranch on this Monday, a very smoky Monday, September the 14th. And our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the very best in tires in a very safe, clean environment. And, of course, don't forget our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Want to also remind you about our friends over to Greystone Crossing. Yes, Matt and Kelly Wiggins, they have built a beautiful 12-bedroom home for seniors, and boy, they offer 3 meals a day plus snacks plus housekeeping, local transportation, all included in the rent. My goodness, you're only a mile away from Walmart, 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. What more could you want? Seniors, please call the number and ask for an appointment to see these beautiful surroundings at Greystone Crossing. 650-4979. That number again, 650-4979. You call Greystone Crossing today. Want to also give a quick shout out to some friends of ours that are helping you with silver purchases through 7K Metals. You can help yourself build your own financial security and future, and it makes a valued treasure for your loved ones in the future also. Don't forget 7K Metals. Believe me, really good people that are creating a saving opportunity for you. You can call Lon Hardy at 312-8699 or Sharon at 430-3259. Tell them I told you to call. Good folks, they've got me on the silver purchases. They can help you too through 7K Metals. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line and have a former Reader's Digest roving reporter, and his articles have been seen and read by people all over the country. Lowell Ponte, good morning, sir. How are you?
Zeb, it is great to be back with you in the Magic Valley. They're in the place that shaped a teenage Lou Dobbs of Fox Business.
Very well stated, sir. Thank you very much. And yes, Mr. Dobbs, of course, very well known and respected in this area. And again, I'm going to ask my engineer the feedback on the call, Sean, please. Mr. Ponte, let me ask you this. I am extremely concerned about a very biased left-wing push on this election in 50 days. I'm also very concerned about biased debates and how they're handled between possibly Trump and Biden, if they occur. What are your thoughts?
I'm not sure they will occur. I mean, Joe Biden could be committing political suicide by going into 3 open debates. Lately, I have written at WorldNet Daily about the moderators who have been picked for these debates, and it's rather amusing to see. They did pick the most left-wing of Fox commentators to lead the first debate, Chris Wallace in Cleveland, September 29th. On October 15th in Miami, they picked C-SPAN Steve Scully, who you normally would say is moderate beyond imagining, the 14th of 16 children. The only problem is Scully, when he was young in D.C., was an intern for Senator Ted Kennedy and for Senator Joe Biden. And normally, if you're going to intern for somebody, as I've done in D.C., as a lot of people have, you tend to pick someone politically compatible with yourself to work with. So does that mean Steve Scully was politically compatible with Joe Biden? And does that bias what he has to say? We'll see. The Nashville debate on October 22nd, they picked Kirsten Welker. Normally you would expect someone who is anchor of the Today Show on the weekend for NBC, who's appeared often on MSNBC, which, as you probably know, stands for Marxist Socialist NBC, but why be redundant? You would expect her to be left of center, and she is to some degree, but even the Media Research Center has praised her for a month ago, doing an interview with Nancy Pelosi in which she just tore Pelosi up. I mean, she did not follow the left-wing expected stereotype. She gave one of the hardest interviews Nancy Pelosi's ever faced. So I'm optimistic about that. And, of course, for the vice presidential debate, October 7th in Salt Lake City, they picked Susan Page, 69 years old, of center-left USA Today. Page is a liberal but a very professional person. The thing that bothers me is Susan Page has reportedly signed a lucrative book contract to write a biography tentatively titled Modern Speaker, Nancy Pelosi and the Arc of Power, which doubtless would sell better if Pelosi and her party increase their power rather than wind up in the rearview mirror of history. But overall, I don't think we'll have another Candy Crowley, the moderator of the second debate, who in 2012 decided with Mitch Romney on one side and Barack Obama on the other, that she would just jump in and openly take Barack Obama's side and declare Mitch Romney to be wrong on an important issue. She later admitted hours after the debate that she had been incorrect, that Mitch Romney had mostly been right on the issue. But of course, by then the debate was over. People's minds had been made up. The whole thing had been slanted to the left, and lo and behold, Barack Obama was reelected.
When you look at the overall picture of these debates, sir, and like especially it was glaring when Mitt Romney was with Obama in that debate that Candy Crowley was going to do anything in her power to make it jaded towards Obama. How are these final selections for moderators picked, and who has the final say-so?
There is a federal commission on debates, on presidential debates, that does the final picking. Donald Trump had submitted 24 different potential commentators or moderators for these debates, and all 24 of his suggestions were just brushed aside as if they were irrelevant. And they included a lot of very interesting people. Maria Bartiromo, Brett Baer, Harris Faulkner, Charles Payne, Hugh Hewitt, Larry Elder. These people would have added some kind of balance to what is normally a liberal establishment, straight from the swamp collection of people. And unfortunately, they were just brushed off. But the problem is it winds up determining what kind of questions presidential candidates may be asked. For example, I suggested in that column, who will be the next Candy Crowley, 3 questions for Mr. Biden, for example. Mr. Biden, the Obama-Biden administration invited Black Lives Matter into the White House repeatedly, despite this Marxist-founded violent group chanting openly in the streets, "What do we want? Dead cops." Do you regret honoring this leftist terrorist organization? That's a fair question, don't you think? Mm-hmm. Or how about this? Mr. Biden, you now vaguely denounce needless violence, but have not named 2 leftist groups causing it. Is your silence self-serving? Because BlackLivesMatter.com's website has a donate button, and when you click it, it goes to the Democrat site Act Blue, which has given now more than $300 million to your campaign. The Marxist Antifa.com website switches automatically to a Biden campaign donation website. I mean, does that not strike you as a bit biased?
Absolutely.
Mr. Biden, you plan to meet with Jacob Blake's parents, whose son was shot by Kenosha police when he violently resisted arrest on a felony rape warrant. Did you notice that Blake's alleged rape is very similar to what one of your former staffers accuses you of committing on her? I think those are 3 reasonable and fair-minded questions.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this question, because you know a lot more about the debate process and studied it for your writings. But what about Chris Wallace? And he is left of center on most of his politics because of his dad's involvement, etc., and it carries on not too far from the tree. But what about Chris Wallace? He does have kind of an antagonistic, probing question most all the time with the interviews that he has. Do you think he'll be fair, and do you think it will really show the public the differences between Trump and Biden?
Chris Wallace tends to be a bit of a never-Trumper, pulled back only by Fox audience anger from time to time. He once upon a time asked Russian leader Vladimir Putin, "Why do so many people who oppose you end up dead?" So, I mean, he's capable of asking good questions. He may try exceptionally hard in this upcoming debate, but on the other hand, when you tell an egomaniac journalist of whatever orientation that they have a chance to put their thumb on the scale favoring one presidential candidate over another, the temptation to do so must be enormous. And then again, I remember years ago, Bernard Shaw. Remember when Dukakis was running?
Yes.
Against a Republican?
Yes.
And Dukakis was asked. He was this Massachusetts technocrat whom butter wouldn't melt in his mouth and who looked ridiculous riding around in an army tank. Dukakis was asked by Bernard Shaw of CNN, if your wife were raped and murdered by a criminal, wouldn't you at least favor the death penalty for him? Now, Bernard Shaw thought this was a question just being lobbed across the plate to be hit out of the park, to show that Dukakis had some blood, had some manhood about him. But what happened? Dukakis, well, I'm not sure, Bernie.
Yeah.
I think we should be reasonable.
Yep.
I wouldn't necessarily favor the death penalty for anyone. And right then, Dukakis lost forever. And poor Bernard Shaw, as a dedicated CNN leftist anchor, had tried his best to help elect Dukakis, but because Dukakis botched the easy lob question, Bernard Shaw, for the rest of his life, was criticized and attacked. You're the man who defeated Michael Dukakis. You're so evil. And remember, a lot of these people live in either Washington, D.C., as I have, or in New York City. And what that means is everyone around you, everyone who would invite you to a party, everyone who would treat you well socially, everyone who would sign off on you being advanced to an even better job, they're all liberals and leftists. And so your temptation to conform with that endless, nonstop pressure to lean further left, further left, further left, it's always there, and you're living in the centers of that in the United States.
Absolutely.
We really need a United States with power centers outside Silicon Valley, Hollywood, which is now owned entirely by communist China. But then, why wouldn't they support Joe Biden? He is also a wholly owned subsidiary of communist China ever since he accepted the $1.5 billion in behalf of his son from the communist Chinese military. I mean, can we even think of a president who took that kind of money from an enemy power, being given the authority to negotiate with that power in America's behalf? I mean, it's insane.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question and a comment. So, caller, quickly for Mr. Ponte, go ahead, please.
Yes. Speaking of Chris Wallace, we people who are in 70s and 80 years old, vividly remember Mike Wallace, the biggest Democrat in the world. And he was never wrong because he would not accept it. Now, he will come back to haunt Chris if he doesn't do the right thing.
All right, well, we'll have Mr. Ponte respond to that. Go ahead, Lowell, please.
Well, obviously, this is part of the influence you're subject to when you dwell in New York or Washington. You're going to be brought up under that kind of influence. And in this case, it's all the more intensified because he's Mike Wallace's son.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, the woman moderator named Wallace on, what is it, MSNBC or CNN? Nicole Wallace.
I think
she's not related to Mike Wallace or Chris at all, as far as I know.
Right.
Certainly they're not brother and sister. But this is the pressure you have when most of the media is left-wing, and that's where you've decided to make your career.
Lowell, let me ask you a little bit about the mechanics and the structure of the debate. Now, we just recently know and realized that Joe is a shell of himself as far as his past abilities and thinking capabilities and speaking capabilities. And recently it was found out that he's using a teleprompter with canned answers on the teleprompter screen. What's going to happen, in your opinion, during the debate, and how will they try to soft sell his information? Will they try to cheat, give him earplugs? What's going to happen? Tell us.
Oh, it'll almost certainly be communicated through an earplug if he can't use the teleprompter, and I'm imagining he can't. And that's where it would be interesting. The Secret Service or the President's people in general can find out what frequency that radio voice is being transmitted into Biden's earplug is. You notice he often reaches for his right ear, as if the answer is a little too loud or isn't coming fast enough or whatever. So imagine intercepting that signal channel and either blocking it out, which they could do with noise of one kind or another, or giving false answers to Joe Biden via that probably one-way link. That would be incredibly amusing to watch Joe try to handle. I mean, Bill Clinton, in his heyday, could do that sort of thing. Once he was delivering a major speech, and the teleprompter broke in the first few lines of the speech. It could not be read off teleprompter, so Bill Clinton delivered the entire speech flawlessly from memory. Joe Biden isn't quite able to do that. In fact, often he can't remember where he is or what his name is or who his wife is. He apparently confuses it with a sister. So these are the kind of challenges that will be up to Biden in the debate, and it will be interesting to see. Unfortunately, the expectation has been driven so low for Joe Biden that if he could just say, "Hi, I'm Joe Biden," some Democrats are going to say he won the debate from that alone.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is errant nonsense.
Let me ask you,
but it'll be interesting whether the American people can even imagine having a mentally impaired person who sometimes he's there, sometimes he's gone entirely, to have that running American foreign policy with his finger on the nuclear button, negotiating with Xi Jinping for the future of the world.
Well, there you led me right into the next question in the time remaining. I got about 5 minutes left. What about the team, if you will, of Biden and Harris and the puppet strings that are being pulled, and how much Joe is actually, if God help us, he wins the presidency, and Kamala Harris standing in the wings? What's going to happen, in your opinion, as far as shuttling Joe out the back door and putting Kamala Harris in the Oval Office?
It could happen very quickly. It could happen quickly either de facto or de jure. That is, Biden could actually disappear. He could step down. By the way, don't be surprised if one day before the first debate, Joe Biden becomes temporarily ill and unable to debate. I don't know whether debates would still be held at all or whether Harris would say she would debate Trump or what. But Harris is herself a fascinating person. I mean, I speak as a Californian who's suffered with her as senator and so on. She is leftist beyond imagining. She's actually to the left in her voting record in the Senate of Bernie Sanders. She is a wonderful role model for our children. In fact, a fellow I know moderately well because I used to work in the state legislature here, Willie Brown, former Speaker of the Assembly in California, says that Harris slept her way to the top with him, that she had a prolonged affair, and he saw to her political rise in the state. And she has not denied this at all. So you have a woman who basically was willing to prostitute herself for power and would prostitute herself another 20 degrees or magnitudes for power. She cares only about what is good for Kamala Harris. She is capable of doing things that might be called right-wing. She kept a lot of people in jail for marijuana offenses who under California policies normally would have been kicked loose. She kept them past their prison times, and then when asked about her own marijuana use, she just broke into giggles and laughs because she was a heavy drug user at one time, apparently. So is this the kind of... Oh, and by the way, as a role model for our children, Kamala, people ask what that is. Well, it's a word meaning soft pink or lotus in Hindu. Her mother was a high-caste Hindu from India, and it is also the name of a Hindu goddess, ironically the goddess of wealth in India. So, yes, our children would now be taught to honor a potential president or one heartbeat away president who was named for a Hindu goddess.
Let me, if I may...
Amazingly interesting in a country where we don't allow Christian holidays much anymore.
Right.
Certainly not in government.
Let me, if I may, I've got 2 minutes left, and I want you to give me a short answer on this, sir. But the Black Lives Matter and the dominance of their organization is showing up on basketball courts, football fields. It's showing up all across America in a demand that we raise our fist in salute to Black Lives Matter. Can this problem be rectified, and can we somehow, after the election, minimize Black Lives Matter as a group, a Marxist group?
Well, if you argue against the organization Black Lives Matter, which, as I say, does direct massive fundraising for Joe Biden, I mean, that and the Democratic Party are joined at the hip, very literally, by the mother's milk of politics, money. Black Lives Matter, as you say, was founded by 3 Marxists. It is Marxist in its orientation. It is oriented toward cop-hating and cop-killing. It carries out ceremonies at every one of its gatherings to a woman they call Assata Shakur, who was actually a cop killer herself who fled to communist Cuba and is still there. And they want to destroy the nuclear family. Ironically, they say they're for black people, and yet they're for Planned Parenthood and for abortion, even though blacks amount to 13% of the population, but more than 25% of the abortions kill black babies. So why a Margaret Sanger, authoritarian-oriented organization founded by a woman who used to speak before Ku Klux Klan meetings is honored by Black Lives Matter, I leave to your imagination. But as Tucker Carlson so wonderfully summarized it, you look at Black Lives Matter, you look at Antifa, they are waging class war, Marxist warfare, under the cloak, under the disguise of being in a race war. They don't give a damn about the deaths of black people. They only want it as a pretext to fuel the war.
I wanted to
ask who, for example, killed Mr. George Floyd. Who killed him was Communist China. He died of a fentanyl opium overdose.
That's right.
Chinese illegal opium kills up to 65,000 Americans every year, more than died during the entire Vietnam War. And that's coming from China, like the COVID virus, like the money funding Antifa. I mean, why is there no criticism of communist China? No, it all has to be aimed at American white cops.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mr. Ponte, I want to tell you how much I appreciate your coming back on our program. And ladies and gentlemen, anytime you get a chance to read any of his writings anywhere, take the time, because this man knows what's going on. Lowell Ponte, thank you for being on our program, and please come back in the future.
Oh, it's my pleasure, as always, Seb. By the way, I'm on World Net Daily Fridays.
Very good. Sir, we appreciate it, and God bless. Thank you very much.
God bless you.
Outstanding conversation with a man that doesn't hold back and lets his feelings be known politically, and I really appreciate his viewpoints on the election and Biden, etc. Thank you very much, Lowell Ponte. Thank you very much. I want to remind you, too, about our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Oh, hello, Jeff. Hello, crew at 459 Overland in Burley. They've got all the mattresses there for you to get a good night's sleep. I could stand one myself right now. And don't forget all the window coverings, blinds, and shades. And they have got the largest selection of floor covering anywhere to be found. I mean, all the floor covering, all the carpet, rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls of carpet, and the great selection of all furniture, chairs, dining room sets, all the recliners. Whew, it's all there at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. You stop in and see them today at 459 Overland in Burley. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Right now, we're going to send it over to our main studio. I'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb back.
Thank you very much. And right now, we're going to scoot over to the Rupert area and talk to a lady that absolutely is very, very efficient at what she does, Minidoka Animal Control Officer, and I have the utmost respect for having her on the air to help dogs that are in dire situations that need new homes. Deb Hines, good morning. Dog Days on Zeb at the Ranch. How are you?
I'm good, Deb. How are you doing?
I'm great. You know, I've had a lot of calls with people that are very interested in the dogs and everything, but they've got to take kind of a proactive stance, and they've got to get a hold of you and find out more. What are we going to feature today as far as some of the dogs that you have available over there at Minidoka Animal Control?
Okay. Today I'm going to feature Geez Louise. She is oh yeah, it's funny. When she came here, she did something. I'm like, geez, Louise, and we stuck her with that name.
Okay.
So anyway, she is a white husky with red highlights. She's a beautiful dog. She's only about 2 years old, so she's kind of busy. But she's good on a leash. She loves people. She's good with other dogs. She just needs a home.
Well, now, just a minute. Geez Louise sounds like a beautiful dog. I love huskies. My dad used to have a husky, and I think they're one of the prettiest dogs on the face of the earth.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, I think she's got blue eyes, too, doesn't she? Louise? Oh, yeah, one blue, one brown eye.
Oh, my. Well, now, what about being around little kids and family members? Pretty good dog?
Yes. If she has someone to be with and love on her and, you know, just everything has to, she's just a pup still, per se, and so she's kind of busy, but once she's been around and done her thing, she likes to be with you. She'll sit with you, stay with you, walk off leash. I mean, it's, you know, and she's, the only thing with her is sometimes if you're not giving her enough attention, she will try to escape.
Well, let me ask you this. How did you...
Given because we don't have time for him.
Right. How did you end up getting this dog, Geez Louise, the husky? I mean, what's the circumstance?
Drop box with no paperwork.
Oh, my. So here's a dog that loves people, and all she needs in return is for somebody to love her, correct?
Yep. That's it. That's all she wants is somebody to care about her.
Okay. Well, what about featuring another dog real quick, and then we'll talk about both of them and having people give you a call. What other dogs do you have you want to talk about today?
The other one I got is a mini healer. Her name is Kit, and she's a red mini healer, which means she might weigh 30 pounds on a good day.
Uh-huh.
Okay. She is very loving. She, again, likes to be with people. She is not a fan of aggressive male dogs at all.
Uh-huh.
But she is good with, you know, and she's another one that'll stick with you. I do not know if this little girl ever worked cattle or anything. Again, another drop box routine with no paperwork.
Oh, my. You know, when you get these dogs, I told you before, and I'm going to say it again, I absolutely admire your patience, your tenacity, and your compassion towards these dogs. Deb, you are one in a million.
Thanks, Deb. But no, these guys, and you and I have discussed this before, if they're in this shelter, it's no different than them being at my house and being my dogs.
No, I respect that.
They have to be taken care of. We have to treat them right, and we have to get them to the right home, or they're not leaving. You know, I will get them in the right home. It just may take a minute.
Well, what do people do? I mean, a lot of people are sitting there probably at their kitchen table, or maybe they're at their office right now, and we talked about Geez Louise, the husky, or the mini healer Kit. What should they do?
Just they can call me at 208-438-2200. And we're here from, well, I usually get here at 8, so from 8 to 1 Monday through Friday and 8 to noon on Saturdays. And talk to me, and we can make an appointment, and they can bring their dog. If they have a dog and are concerned, they can bring their dog with them, and we'll introduce them and see how they get along.
Absolutely. Let me ask you...
They can just come and meet the baby, whatever they would like to do.
Let me ask you this, Deb. You're doing such an outstanding service for the community, and you're doing a heartfelt gratuity towards the dogs and their prospective owners. But what about you and the Minidoka Animal Control? What can the public do to maybe help you? What do you need?
Well, obviously, we can always use donations. We'll take dog food, blankets, you name it, we'll take it. Because especially the winter, we make sure that our dogs have pillows or blankets in their kennels so that they're not sleeping on that concrete.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, we're always needing dog food. So, you know, whatever anybody thinks they can do, if they'd like to come and walk a dog, we'll gladly accept that. You know, whatever they think they can do, I would greatly, greatly appreciate.
You know, Deb, I wanted to just mention, you know, you take the case of this husky. Like I said, I'll go back to my childhood when my dad had a husky, and I can remember the loyalty of that dog. I mean, wherever we went as a family, that dog had to go also. And I mean, it would absolutely lay on the floor of the car or the pickup, not create any noise or any disturbance. They can be a wonderful family dog.
Yeah, and I think she's going to be that way. She doesn't talk a lot. I got one adopted Saturday that the kid brought his dog in, and I had to laugh because we put the pup in the office until the kid got everything situated, and he sat in here and cried. So I went and got his other dog out of the pickup, brought it in the office, and he shut right up.
Okay.
Sometimes they just need a friend.
That's right. You know, this dog, let's talk about family situations. What kind of a situation do you feel as a professional that the husky and the mini heeler would best fit into?
Personally, I think a family situation or a single person.
Okay.
But I think these two definitely need families, kids to play with, and to have, you know, kids are the best for dogs because they love them unconditionally. And the other thing about both of these dogs, I feel, is that once they get to know that that's their home, they are going to be exceedingly protective.
Absolutely.
That will be, you know, you're not going to have to worry about anything because those dogs will protect the family.
Absolutely. I had a call after a program, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and I forgot to mention this last week. But what do you tell people when they call and they say, well, gee, we've never had a dog before, but we're sure interested in this, that, or the other dog that you mentioned, but what about training a dog? Where do people go to understand and perhaps get training for a dog?
We can hook them up with a trainer, not from this area, but they're from Twin. They can also go to PetSmart. They train dogs. But if they're not, you know, if they've never had a dog before, the first thing we're going to do is bring them in here and let them meet the dogs. And we'll have an idea about which one we think will be the best fit for them. Because I'm not going to send home a wild child to somebody that's never had a dog before.
Sure.
That's ridiculous.
Sure. But
I've got dogs here that are low-key and going to be super great dogs that they may be interested in. The other thing I will do, depending, is sometime I just say, okay, take the dog home overnight. See how he does. If he doesn't work, bring it back.
Right.
If it does work, then come in, let's do the paperwork, and we'll get him adopted.
Absolutely.
But that way they're not taking something home and having it go crazy on them and thinking, oh, crud, I paid you this dog, and now I can't get it back, or whatever.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm willing to do just about anything to get my guys in the home.
Absolutely. I love that attitude. How many dogs going into, like, this month of September, and we're getting colder weather and all that sort of thing, how many dogs have you got, or do you have space for?
We've got 23 now, and we've got room for 30-something.
Oh, my goodness sakes.
Yeah, so I've got to get some adopted.
All right. Well, we're going to do our best, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate having you on the program. I'm a dog man. I just love dogs, and we're talking today about Jeez Louise, a really nice husky, and also a mini heeler by the name of Kit. And Debbie, tell the numbers and the times that you're open, please.
Okay, it's 208-438-2200. We're open 8 to 1 Monday through Friday and 8 to noon on Saturday.
Deb Hines, Minidoka Animal Control, a lady that I've known for a long time, and I'll tell you what, she's very sincere about these dogs, and she wants to find them good homes. Deb, thank you so much for being on the program this morning. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, Zeb. You have a good week.
All right. Thank you very much. Nice lady, and boy, she does care for animals. I'll tell you that. Deb Hines, thank you very much. Right now, let's go to the weather, and the weather is brought to you by Scarrows Meats. Hello, Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. Oh, I mean, if you're going to have a gathering, if you're going to have a get-together, if you're going to have anything, by golly, you better get a hold of them. They have all the different meats, whether it's marinated pork ribs or the hams or the tri-tips or all the different flavors of bacon, the breakfast sausages, the bratwurst, oh, the list goes on and on. Delicious meats from Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The telephone number to call, 324-7657, or go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Looks like we're going to be in an air quality advisory at least for the majority of the week due to all of the area and regional wildfires burning. Here's a look at your weather forecast today. We are expecting sunny skies, but it's definitely going to be smoky. If you have upper respiratory issues, please limit your time outside. We are expecting a high of 89 and a little bit of a breeze. Winds could gust as high as 23 miles an hour. Tonight, widespread haze, clear skies, low of 50. Tomorrow, that smoke going to stick around. Sunny skies, high of 88 with an overnight low of 50. Pretty much the same for Wednesday. Still going to be smoky, sunny skies, high of 88 by Thursday. Sunny and 88. Now let's look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
And 70 degrees outside my studio right now, and the weather brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. They are, oh yes they are, changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and I believe we have a very dear friend of mine. She's back. Good morning, Donna Mass. How are you?
Well, I'm just finer than frog hair, Zeb. How are you doing?
How did you get roped into doing this for old George?
Well, you know, old people kind of sometimes have a hearing problem.
I know I do.
So he can't answer questions.
I understand, but, you know, I miss talking to my buddy, but, oh, I've got the better half on the phone with me. You had an outstanding event this past weekend, and I want you to give us the title and everything that happened. Tell us about it.
Okay, we had our second annual Patriotic Day. Flag retirement, flag education for the Minidoka County 5th grade school children.
Mm-hmm.
And last year you participated in it.
Yes.
So you kind of know really what we did. We did the same exact thing. I had the honor of, with wonderful help in my cook shack, feeding these little darlings. And we had 7 stations that the groups, they broke the children down into groups.
Right.
And they went to each different station. We had the combat -5, you know, with questions and answers. We had flag retirement, flag folding. The Wilson Theater had I believe it was the Wilson Theater had a video of the events of 9/11 in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
It just teaches, you know, that our youth, God bless them, they really are thirsty for knowledge, Seb.
Let me ask you a question right there, Donna. When I was there a year ago, and I was able to participate in that, and this year, because of my wife's health condition, I was not able to be there. The one thing I noticed, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think last year you had over 400 kids. Wasn't that about the number?
Yes, it was.
Okay. The attention, the absolute attentiveness of these kids, just, there wasn't any jostling, there wasn't any kind of elbowing, there wasn't any whispering, there wasn't any movement. I mean, these kids were so attentive, and they, like you said a moment ago, they wanted to hear about our country and our flag.
It was exactly the same way this year. Like I said, you know, we really do have some good youth coming up, and they're thirsty for knowledge that they're not being taught like you and I were in our generation. You know, we were taught the history of America. We were taught to stand for the pledge and respect the flag. And I think we've really gotten away from that in the schools. And so, this is our, George and mine and the Rupert Veterans Memorial group, and I'm going to name them real quickly. It's Kelly Anton, David Fairchild, Chief James Wardle, and my husband, George Mass, decided to take this upon themselves to teach our youth and try to help prepare them for their growing years, and hopefully we can continue this for until we're not able to do it anymore.
I noticed we got a little line static on the air this morning, and I hope nobody missed that last comment that you made. The kids are learning. They want to learn. And I guess my obvious question to you, Donna, and you and I have talked about it, you and I and George and others, why? Why in our school systems isn't this being taught?
Zeb, I wish I had the answer to that. Kelly Anton and our grandson, Adam Fowler, there's always been a law that they're supposed to teach flag education in schools, but some of them have elected not to do that. Well, Adam wrote Kelly Anton a letter explaining his concern about, the disrespect of our flag. And if Adam, he's a very patriotic young man. And he and Kelly Anton got the law reiterated back into the school system, back into the school curriculum. And they also, they have to take a citizenship test. And so, there is hope that, some of the teachers really do incorporate it into their school. I guess some choose not to. I don't have the answer to why.
Well, I've got some major complaints with education today, and I'm not pinpointing or I'm not finger pointing, and I'm not trying to focalize on any one school district, teacher, and or superintendent. But when I hear across the board complaints that say, we don't have time for the Pledge of Allegiance, it takes 17 seconds.
Yeah, you're right. Like I said, I don't have an answer for that. I know we've got some wonderful teachers. We really do. Mm-hmm. Those fifth grade teachers kept those little darlings corralled, and the high school student council was helping. I think they put more emphasis on other things than flag education. That's the only thing I can come up with. I really don't know. I wish it wasn't that way.
Well, let me ask you, Donna, this. With the Pledge of Allegiance and flag education and understanding about maybe the battle at Fort McHenry for our flag and the writing of our national anthem and all this kind of thing, I just can't imagine a country that has so much rich heritage and so much history and offers so much through the greatest constitution ever written of any country in the world. I just don't know why we're dropping the ball.
Yeah, I don't either, Zeb. Something's got to change. And I think through this program, I think more schools, more counties, more cities, if we could get it out there in the public more, we could kind of change, and kind of get it back to where it's supposed to be. We're kind of hoping that's what it is. But real quick, I need to, if I could, please, really give a big thanks to our big sponsors, our major sponsors.
Yes.
Dot Foods, Falls Brand, Best Western Burley Inn, Ridley's in Rupert, Walmart in Burley, Connection Credit Union in Hayburn, Brewster Cheese in Rupert, D.L. Evans Bank, Rupert, First Federal Bank, Rupert, PCA in Burley, Electric what is that, Rural Electric
yes.
in Hayburn.
Yes.
And all the people who bought the raffle tickets for our AR-15, they allowed us to, you know, with their donations and the raffle, it helped us to be able to put on this program for our kids.
Well, let me tell you, I'm out of time. I'm out of time, and I've got to get a commercial in here, but I want to tell you and your great husband, George, how much I appreciate both of you and what you're doing, along with everybody else connected to this program. And please know that next year, hopefully, everything will be better on my end as far as our health and my wife's health, etc. We'll be able to do more for you to help you make this grow next year. And Donna, thank you very much for being on the show.
You betcha, Zeb, and thank you for all you do for us, too. You've done quite a bit.
Well, God bless you for coming on, and it just excites me how good the program is. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You betcha. Have a great day.
Don't forget our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you with the best of tires. You know that. And the best in brake service and front-end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. You know that. And you know that if you're on the farm, the ranch, or the dairy, and you need help, they've got those repair trucks that are just zipping right out to you to get you back running again. Absolutely committed to service for you. The 7 locations, where are they and who are they? I'll tell you. James over in Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family in Paul, and of course my buddy Trent on Overland in Burley. None better. They care, and they're going to make sure that you drive safely. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Tomorrow on the program, let's take a listen and see what we got. We've got Dan Kish with the American Energy Alliance. We've got David Sussman coming on the program. Dr. History's going to be here. And then, by popular demand, I had a lot of calls to have Dr. Carla Dean Graves come back on and talk about the coronavirus and what is and isn't happening. Don't forget, we always say at the end of the program, the way things were, the way things ought to be, and the 4 words that mean the most to us: in God we trust. We'll see you tomorrow morning right here at 8:06.